Austin Acker, thank you for joining Frontline Voices.
Of course. Good to be here.
So let's start with your introduction. Correct me if I'm wrong. Husband, father, first captain of Ashley-Hudson Fire, captain of Salem Fire, underwater rescue technician, tow truck supervisor.
I'm a supervisor of light duty towing, and then I'm a heavy wrecker operator.
Anything else that we can add to the list of titles to your name?
Active member of the CISM debrief team. No.
Entrepreneur?
Yes.
Entrepreneur. All right. So let's start at the beginning. Tell me about Little Austin.
Little Austin grew up in a small area of Greenfield Mills out there in Howe, Indiana. Grew up with a mom, stepdad, brother, sister. Grew up there for most of my childhood, and then moved down to Norfolk, Virginia. I got a start of a lot of my stuff. Learned some life lessons and other avenues of life besides countryside to the city life, and moved back to this area, and where I spent the rest of my adolescent childhood until adulthood.
I see. So let me ask you, when did you first get the spark or the itch for helping the public? I'm assuming fairly young.
Yes. I would say young. Down in Virginia, when I lived down there, it was heavily into gang wars down in that area. So you didn't get to go out a lot and just run the neighborhoods like we used to. So I got introduced to a program in high school. It was Navy JRTC. It's a beginner program for military students. So they pushed us really heavily onto community service and getting out there in communities and being able to see what a little bit of goodwill went and did towards the communities, and getting to see the aftermath of what we did, going different areas and cleaning areas up and working in soup kitchens and stuff like that. So it started that progression of, I guess you could say, a fulfillment of getting to do something that not a lot of other kids our age went out and did.
I see. That's very profound. That's profound for the a person of youth to be exposed to that kind of thing and have that realization. Was there any moments in your youth that specifically caught your attention and said, "Yep, I want to be of service to others"? If not, that's perfectly fine.
I'm trying to think. It's just one of them situations where it's an eye opener for you,
mm-hmm.
and you just, I think a lot of people could agree, after certain aptitude of seeing the goodwill that goes around, it's either for you or it's not for you, and it's just something that it clicks with you, that's going to be my fulfillment, or no, I really don't want to do that. And for me, it felt a lot nicer to help people than it felt just to sit around and not do anything.
I see. Now, you had mentioned you were in JROTC. I'm assuming that was the plan. Join that program as a youth and move on to the military as being your career. I'm assuming.
Correct.
Okay. In starting in your youth, joining the JROTC, is that where you learned collaborative efforts, building teamwork, and all the things that make you the leader that you are today?
I wouldn't say that's what made me into the leader I am today, but I would strongly agree with that was the starting bridges for it. In starting that, I had two great instructors down there that led us down that path, and was very heavy on the teamwork aspect of everything. Everything was a teamwork effort, and that's what laid that foundation for the future of where I am today.
I see. Bouncing around a little bit, I want to talk about family. I know from personally knowing you that family has been a huge thing for you. I know a little bit about your background. There was divorce
Yep.
in your family, so that was, I'm sure, as a youth that was difficult. And currently, I know that you had a previous relationship and you fought very hard to make sure that your kids were with you and that you kept them together.
Correct.
And you and Hope have built this life together, which Hope is wonderful. If anybody hasn't met Hope, she's fantastic. But my question is, how did you transfer from being a child coming from, lack of better words, a broken home, to being so consumed with making sure that your family stayed whole, with your kids, with your wife, with your, how is that transition? How did you get, because generally, statistically, if you come from a situation like that, it travels with the person and it's a continued process.
That's
so
correct,
if you could
yes.
break that down for me.
You couldn't have said that better. So statistically speaking, that is how it works. And I came from a very broken family, rough childhood growing up and all that stuff, to where when my grandparents took custody of me, that's how I ended up back up here. And the one thing I always looked at when my ex-wife and I were going through our divorce proceedings, it was, I don't want my kids to go through what I went through, and I didn't want them to be broken up to any means. So, and a lot of it was just sheer luck of how it ended up. Indiana is notoriously known as a mother state, which statistically proven that's what it is. That's not just me saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really lucky when I got awarded my children, and it's, we can get into the technicalities of it, but that's what saved me. Um, so family it's top tier, the most important thing for me. And I press that to everybody, that if you don't have a good family life, then you're behind in life already, because you have to have family to make it. You really do. And my Hope, my wife that I'm married to, has been outmost the best, not only mother but wife that anybody could ask for. She went from having 0 kids to having 3 kids overnight. And I mean that quite literally. Anybody can go out and ask her. It was quite the transition that I don't think any woman would have been prepared for. And she took it and she ran with it, which built our family from the foundation up. And it's been a ride. It's been a ride.
So what I'm hearing is Hope is like a superhero.
Oh, she is. Oh, she is. I'm nothing compared to her at all.
That's awesome. Well, we'll take a break from the family aspect. Let's go into your military experience.
Okay.
You served as a 12B combat engineer, one of the Army's most demanding MOSs. How did that shape your mindset?
It ruined my mindset.
Okay.
It took it being 12 Bravo. It takes everything you know about life and what's supposed to be right, and it turns it right. We're taught to build buildings, build everything up, right? My job was tear it down. And it's different. So it's one of the mentalities that it breaks you and then it builds you back up. And when it builds you back up, it builds you brick by brick by brick by brick of how they want you to be.
Okay.
It builds you into one of those mentalities. A 12 Bravo MOS is a combat MOS. It's the most understrength MOS in the military. It's in the top 5 most dangerous. At least it used to be. As a 12 Bravo, your explosives, and you build buildings, stuff like that, work with bridges and all that type of stuff. But you're also a leader to a lot of other people in the military because they rely on you for a lot of different stuff. You go out and you train on a lot of different stuff. It's kind of like anything else. You're constantly learning. So it builds a foundation for everything else you go out and do in the military. It is most demanding, but it's also a, who wakes up in the morning and decides that they want to go work explosives, and my job, more or less, who wants to jump out of a plane carrying live explosives and laying on the ground. It's a little crazy, but it's just the path it took.
You got to be a little crazy.
Exactly.
All right. So with that experience, what kind of leadership lessons did you gain from the Army that guide you on the fire ground today?
It taught me a lot. I worked under a lot of great leaders and a lot of not so great leaders. It showed the different mentalities of working under pressure and being able to solve those issues under pressure, along with how to deal with those different situations on the fly. And this is my own personal opinion here. I feel anybody that's served in the military under an MOS that deals with high stress and then they turn into leaders in the community, they're a little bit more well versed because they've been drilled under pressure. It's different than the fire academy teaching you how to deal under pressure. This is real life under pressure, and it teaches you to fire on all cylinders all the time. It keeps your head on a swivel at all times, and it helps you point out those individuals on scene and to give them the feel of the land of, we need this, 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 and this, and this is how we're going to do it. And it's rapid. I don't know really how to do slow. Everything's always been rapid. So is that a good thing, a blessing? I don't know yet, but so far it's worked.
I see. So how many years of service in the fire service have you experienced, or how long has your service been?
I'm coming up on, I believe, 12 years now.
12 years. And how long have you been with Ashley-Hudson Fire?
Just about 4.
4. What drew you to Ashley?
So I moved out to Helmer, which Helmer does not have a fire station. Kind of out there in my own little corner. Driving through town, and I would see, the fire trucks going out. Bay doors would be open every now and then, and seeing the command buggy go in and out of town, which was a new thing for me. Besides down in North Carolina, I'd see command buggies, but up here, not so much. So one day they had Ashley-Hudson days. I didn't even know what that was. And fire department was having breakfast. I was hungry, so I stopped up and got talking to a couple of the older members. And I didn't even really ask for an application, actually. I just got handed one. The gentleman I talked to knew me from my time on Orland Fire and said, "Hey, here you go. Here's a pen. Fill this out. Give it back." And, it wasn't my plan right then and there to get back into the fire service. I'd taken a few years break for rebuild my mental health and get my personal life back on track. And so it just kind of fell back into the loop.
So you came in, had some breakfast, and then you were held hostage for the last 5 years, pretty much is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
Okay. How would you describe the culture at the Ashley-Hudson Volunteer Fire Department?
Evolving.
That is a very good definition.
That's the best way to put it.
I like that. I like that.
It's the last, I'd say 3.5 years. It's been nothing but evolvement, growing, learning, growing.
Yeah, I think that is the perfect description. So to you, what makes a great firefighter?
One that has the ability to learn, to be a sponge, to be adaptive, and have the heart to serve your community. It's You're not serving yourself. As soon as you raise your hand, you take that oath. You you get the cool T-shirts that we all want, right? Um, you lose the right to dictate, I want to do it or I don't want to do it. You took the oath to serve your community, and you have to have that drive. You have to have the willingness to train and learn and to listen to do the job. Because at that point, we don't work for the fire department. We don't work for the town. We don't work for ourselves. We work for our community.
Mhm.
It's taking this job. Nobody calls us on the best day of their lives. They call us on their worst day of their life. We show up. They don't care what we look like. They don't care the name on our shirt, the name on our trucks. They care about 5 brain surgeons jumping out of that truck.
Right, yes.
To solve the issue they're having that day. And that's what makes a great firefighter. We could go anywhere. We could go down to Salem, over to Pleasant Lake. We could go into Angola on standby. A great firefighter, no matter where you're at, you're performing to the best of your ability, no matter what.
Mhm.
Rain, snow, sleet, hurricane, tornado, natural disasters. We're the ones that everybody looks at for answers. And if we can't provide those answers, we're not great firefighters anymore. We're just part of the statistics.
Well, now that you've built the blueprint of what makes a perfect firefighter, wow. How do you make sure that you build a team that consists of all those qualities that you look for to have?
Trial and error. Anybody that tells you different is lying. You can't have a perfect team. You can't. Anybody that tells you they have a perfect team is lying to themselves.
Mhm.
You always have flaws. The only thing I can do is train firefighters off the mistakes I've made and how not to make those mistakes again. I shouldn't say how not to make those mistakes again, because they're going to make them. Every firefighter does. How do you mitigate? How do you mitigate what's going to happen on scene? Compared to, we could go down in the bay right now and ask any of the guys down there, when we come back from a scene, what do we do?
Debrief.
Every scene.
Mhm.
And every single officer here at Ashley is very good about that now. But that's always been one of my personal things that I do with my guys. It's, we come back and we debrief, right?
Mhm.
We sit around the bay table, and that's where we solve all the life issues, right?
Right, yes. Yes.
That one action in itself builds about the most perfect team as you can. I can train you all day long. I can show you right from wrong. I can show you what I expect as a captain of a crew. But at the end of the day, you're the firefighter, right? What are you going to do on scene? You're going to do what you know, right?
Mhm. Yes, yep.
So my perfect team is, I don't have to watch you on scene. I train you how I know you're going to act, how you're going to perform on scene. So when we get on scene, if I'm running command, I know my crew. I don't even got to tell you to hook a hydrant. I don't got to tell you, hey, deploy that line to the front door. You're already doing it, because our training program teaches you that.
Mhm.
Me as a leader, I can do the rest of my activities, and I know you're perfect. And at the end of the day, if anything went wrong, we talk that over as a team. It's it's a team. It's not, hey Matt, you dropped your tool. Why'd you do that? You know that was wrong, right? No, it's, hey, what did we do wrong?
Mhm. Let them come to their own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's, so what makes a perfect team? I couldn't tell you. I couldn't. I've never seen a perfect team. I've seen great teams though, and that's what I strive for. I don't strive for perfect because you're never going to get it.
I think that's what we call a cut right there on that. And so, wow, that was really good, Austin. I couldn't say it better myself. That was a perfect definition of the kind of team that you're building in Ashley as the training captain. And wow, that was good. On more of a personal side of it, you're trained in tactical rescue and underwater search and recovery. What pushed you to chase those specializations? Because that's something that the average person isn't looking to get into.
Yeah, I agree. My if you were to ask my wife right now, 2 years ago, she'd be like, what are you doing? You idiot. Like, why? Now she just rolls with it, right? So, um, the underwater search and recovery team. I originally joined that team honestly because I'm terrified of water, and I've learned over my years, it's what better way to combat that fear besides jumping in.
Literally submersing yourself in
Exactly.
it.
Because I could swim. I've always been good at swim. Scuba diving intrigued me. It really did. Seeing the gear and all that stuff, it did. But I was terrified of water. Don't get me wrong. Water still scares me, but I, I love it. It's the unknown. That's what it is. It's
Mhm.
the unknown. The technical rescue certifications that I'm pursuing now, um, it kind of started as a blip with myself and Lieutenant Green, also the fire chief of Salem, as just a little thing we were sticking our feet into, getting the feel for it. And well, I don't know what happened, but that hole opened up, and him and I just fell right into that hole head first. Um, but it's been a rewarding path so far. It really has. The networking that we've both been able to do since we started our venture down the technical rescue route has been astronomical. We've met so many different people from all over the place. Um, that's talked to us about the technical classes coming up, coming around, and stuff like that. I'm I'm really looking forward to the rest of the ventures down that path because it's something around this area that not a lot of people dip their feet into,
Mhm.
but we have a need for it. The industrial areas that we're getting into, and just Ashley alone, is areas that we've never experienced before.
Mhm.
The community's never experienced it. Fire department's never experienced it. Um, your confined spaces are getting more and more common. Your high angle rescues are becoming more common. You read more and more articles about it. Horizontal extrications and rescues, underwater rescues that they've had recently, where they've had to deploy tools, technical tools, to get the vehicles more stabilized to get patients out of them, into culverts and stuff like that. We don't know what we're getting into. We really don't. So why not lay a foundation, not only in your department but surrounding departments, lay a foundation for why aren't we doing these classes more if they're being offered, and especially when there's no cost involved.
Mhm.
All it takes is time and dedication, and those two work hand in hand. Time and dedication. We're not a paid department. We're volunteer. Um, but we make the time. There's no reason everybody else can't make the time for that to better your department for your community.
Mhm.
So that's one thing. I preach it every time when my membership come to me with, I want to go to this training, right? What's one of the first questions that I ask?
How's it going to benefit?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not really, how's it going to benefit the department? How's it going to benefit the community?
Yes.
If you can answer me that question, chances are I'm sending you to that class, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yep.
Um,
Well, and to caveat off that, it's not usually not even just that. It's how's it going to benefit you?
exactly.
You care about everybody's own personal progressions along
Exactly.
with that too. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I'd love everybody to go to, let's say surface water technician class, right? I'd love everybody to go to that. But Matt, is that class really going to benefit you?
Right.
Yeah.
Probably
not. But would a PIO class benefit you more?
Absolutely.
So if that answers that question to the best that I can, it's I guess if I'm summing that up into a sentence, it's because it's the land of the unknown, and that's what I like.
How do those disciplines shape the way you respond to the high risk situations that you very well could be a part of?
Oh, it scares me. It scares me. It honestly does. Just like rolling out to a structure fire every time in the officer's seat. There's not an officer out there that can't tell you that their heart starts skipping some beats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what am I rolling into? What am I going to? Do I have the right personnel in my truck for this? Do I have the right equipment in my truck for this? Every call we roll out on, it's that. The only difference with technical is your resources, your certified resources are coming from a lot further away. Confined space, for example, where's our closest confined space personnel coming from?
Right. Correct. Yeah, it's a bit of a drive.
Correct. So you're kind of on your own until those other resources get there. You can make a phone call and they can walk through some stuff. But if you only got 1 or 2 certified personnel, you're behind the 8 ball already. And then how do I look at my community and tell them we weren't prepared?
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So to sum it up, yeah, it's scary. It really is. To be an officer on any scene, it's scary. A lot of younger guys they're ready to get in the officer seat, right? They're ready. Are you really though?
Pump your brakes. Enjoy the back view for a while.
We pull up to a structure fire tomorrow, and I look at you. Okay, Matt, fire 110. You got command. Can you get through it? Probably, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, relying on the boards and stuff, everything that's already pre-prepared to help you through that. Yes. Use the tools that we have. Yeah, probably.
But do you want to be in charge?
Absolutely not. Nope. I'm done. I'm done with
Don't worry, because I'm a fire captain, and I don't want to be either. I'd rather be out there playing right along with my guys and working hard, and but that's how we're trained. To be a frontline officer it's you're taking your responsibilities and you're leading your team. It's not managing a team. It's you're leading your team. That's the thing I do, and hopefully it doesn't answer any other questions when I say it. It's the mentality that it pushes you into is how do you lead your team to the finish line each and every time? How do you do that? How do you set your goals, right? And I have one goal every time I walk out of my house into the station, into the truck. When I look around my truck, you've seen me do it countless times. I make eye contact with every one of my guys in my truck. I know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. I have one goal every single time. We're all coming home. One way or another, we are coming home. Because that's the only way I win, is if all my crew make it back home to their families. I don't care if you make it back home to me. Like, you need to go back to your house. Right?
Yeah.
So to me, that's how I do that in my head for every call we roll out on is, what are we going to? What do I need? What resources do I need? What type of call am I going to? Is it industrial? Is it residential? Is it hazmat? Is it a technical call? Am I certified for this type of technical call? No? Well, we got more issues, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And how do I get my guys back home?
You kind of, in what you just said, you kind of touch on this next question, but I still want to ask it to you. How do you train your team to be prepared for those calls that you hope never come in?
That's a tough question. It really is. And trying to think the best way to answer this, right? So you kind of can't plan for them. You can't plan for them because you've never done them. Um, how do you plan for a fire that you've never experienced before? How do you plan for a Family Dollar distribution center going up in flames? Sure, we can make pre-plans all day long. We can go put the ladder 19 up on the roof right now. I can walk you through roof ventilation right now. But I've never experienced a distribution fire.
Right.
It's at that point you're making the best guess of how you're going to handle it. I mean, we can read books all day long. I can tell you, well, this is what the SOPs, SOGs say. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, it's a lot of it's hip pocket firing.
Mm-hmm.
Your training kicks in, and you're relying on if Dave the fire chief and Chris the assistant chief isn't in town, right? Well crap, I'm next in charge. Who am I calling? That's had experience with this stuff, right?
Right.
My next closest is Angola, right? Any of their chiefs, I'd call them in a heartbeat. Hey, fire 1 through 5. I need you to respond to the scene. Or gentlemen, I would rely heavily on is Fremont Fire Chief and Assistant Chief, Fire 2021. Hey, when you guys come down to the scene, help me lead the scene.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be too proud to ask for help. You can't. And you can't let politics and egos get in the way of that, no matter what. Because life safety is the number one priority.
Mm-hmm.
My number one priority should be myself, but should be my firefighters and all other life safety around. So, kind of veered off there, sorry, but it's how do you prepare for it? I can't give you that answer. I really can't. I only could prepare you for what I know. We can make plans all day long. Well, those plans can go out the window as soon as it happens.
Yes.
They have multiple times, haven't they, Matt?
Yes, they have. They have. I think that's a very, that's a very poignant part of it. And you're not going to be prepared for that thing. And you just do your best to make sure that your crew that you have understands that all calls are of serious nature and don't think of it as just, it's, just an alarm going off, not a big deal, which, you and the other officers here make it, very poignant parts to the day of don't ever think it's just run of the mill stuff, which that I believe helps significantly in that.
Every call is one thing happening away from a call you have never experienced in your life. All it takes is one change in the atmosphere, one change in the wind, one change in the direction of the water, one change in the mentality of the patient you're treating to be a situation you never experienced. Are you prepared to make a decision on the fly to change how you're doing your patient care or your fire attack? Do you keep your person inside the building? Do you pull them outside of the building? You're doing a water rescue and that current changes from a surface water to a swift water. Are you changing your mentality of how you're going to rescue that patient? Or are you going to keep going?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This interview leans a lot on leadership. And that's because when you became a possible guest, I see how the people in this department look to you, and you are, even without title, you operate as leader. So that's why a lot of this interview goes into that leadership journey.
Well, thank you.
You have balanced multiple roles: soldier, firefighter, captain, the tow industry. How do you balance that life with confidence and humility? Because you're always on the go. You're always doing something. So how do you balance that?
It's there for quite a few years. I didn't. Everything just kind of ran into one another. That's the best way I can say it. I'd forget where everything was, what I was doing. It was hard. Till what my wife rang me in, and was like, "Hey, you want to do this, 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 plus this, 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 this. This is how we need to do it. Here's your schedule. What do you need?"
Mm-hmm.
And it reshaped my mindset of I have to be conservative with what I do to still be able to teach. And that's the main reason I do most of the stuff I do is I love teaching. I love teaching. I don't want to say the youth, but the youth firefighters, the newer firefighters that come up, because they're our next generation.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that they replace us, right?
Yes.
We're not getting no younger.
No.
Stuff starts to hurt a little bit more. So it's how do you balance all that to be on the same platform as having everything on the same mentality of how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You do 20 tasks the same. You have 20 different categories at that point. No, you have one.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have one goal, all that comes together as one sandwich, pretty much. Just with a lot of layers in it.
Mm-hmm.
Ever seen like those Scooby-Doo movies where he's got the giant sandwich and he compresses it down?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
that's kind of what it's like.
Okay.
So you got 50 different tasks, and you manage those all the same. It becomes one. Yeah, it's different categories, it's different departments, different separations of everything, but it comes together. And being able to utilize your personnel, it really is that comes to the humility of it, is breaking it down for your guys, right? And treating them like human beings.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a number. You got a number on your helmet, but I don't know the last time I've called one of you guys by your numbers, right? It's, hey, Matt, what do you think? How do you want to do this? Giving you guys some options how you want to do it. Yeah, every once in a while we got to be stern with what we do, right? Because in this job, it can kill you in an instant.
This job's always looking to kill you.
It is. It's the one job we willingly sign up for with a smile on our face. It's one job that's constantly trying to kill you.
Right. Yes.
So how do we mitigate that?
Mm-hmm.
By doing what we do. By letting you guys figure out how to do it. Your way. Not my way. Your way. My way works for me.
Mm-hmm.
My way of doing 50 tasks works one way. But does yours? I don't know if that really answered that question.
Oh, yeah. Very, very much so. Now, you had mentioned new recruits and like working with them. How do you mentor a new recruit that might be nervous or unsure of themselves? I know one thing that you do, which I think is very beneficial, is you try to find somebody that's more senior that has a very like mindset.
Correct.
Something that they can learn from somebody who's like them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, how do you build them and make them confident and just not questioning everything?
So the one thing I'll say is, you always question everything, right? About the time you don't ask questions is about the time that I start wondering if you're in the right profession still.
Mm-hmm.
I am very heavy on building a mentorship program, like you mentioned, because I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but by no means, and it's well established. But somebody else is, and you learn better when you are working with somebody that's like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do with everybody is, and I do this on a lot of my aspects of life, is I sit back and watch, and I got the uncanny ability to very quickly distinguish strengths from weaknesses. And that's what I have to focus on. I don't got to focus on your strengths. They're already strengths for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I do with your strengths is I manifest those and I help them blossom. I focus on your weaknesses to get them up there with your strengths. Because once I can get your weaknesses figured out, you're unstoppable. And what do you focus more on? Your strengths or your weaknesses? On your everyday thing, right?
Your weaknesses, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What stops you from doing most of your stuff in life? Your weaknesses.
Correct.
Because
Yes.
you let them get in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can manifest those and turn those into strengths, you can do anything in life. You're unstoppable. And that's the avenue I look at is, yes, I'm here to make you a firefighter. That's literally my job as a training officer. To make you into a firefighter and make sure you come back alive and you know what you're doing when you step off that truck.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not my goal. My goal is to turn you into a functioning piece of society by seeing what you like, what you don't like, and making everything you look at into, well, how can I turn that around? How do I turn that into something I can use? Because then every single time you walk in this door, what are we doing today? What are we working on today?
Mm-hmm.
How about this? Can we work on this? I really want to do this. I've had so many guys that they just Matt was one of them. A few years ago, I would walk in and just kind of sit around a little bit and watch what everybody's doing and slowly try to back themselves back out the door. We don't play that here. We don't do that, do we, Matt?
No, we don't. No.
I find ways to get you involved,
Mm-hmm.
not just in the fire department. Matt, I'm sure 3 years ago you didn't think you'd be a PIO.
Yeah, no. Nope.
Or a chaplain. But
Correct.
the very first time you mentioned it to me, hey, bam, bam, bam.
Full steam ahead.
Here's your phone numbers to contact. They're expecting your phone call.
Yes.
How do I make you into a better person?
Mm-hmm.
Is my goal. And if I can't do that, then that's my goal as a training officer. And I find a lot of fulfillment in doing it because that's my ambition, is to make everybody else better because it makes myself better.
Mm-hmm. What does success mean to you as a leader in the fire service?
Success means to me coming home, because it means you did your job.
Mm-hmm.
And you did your job correctly. Success is your brothers and sisters coming home with you, getting to sit down at that table, drink some coffee, or in our cases, a lot of times juice boxes.
Juice boxes.
And smile and laugh at what our wins. We don't really focus on our losses.
Mm-hmm.
We focus on our wins. Success is your community coming in here and praising you for the good jobs you're doing, or seeing you out in the community. Success is seeing those little kids walking down the street and smiling at you and running up to you when you're not even in uniform and giving you a hug because they're a firefighter. They've been at my school.
Right.
They were there helping my mommy when she was sick. That to me is success.
Mm-hmm.
You've made it. Your fire department has made it. They've made a meaningful impact. The biggest success for any fire department can be you're known wherever you go, right? Off of whatever aspect it might be, as long as it's a good one.
Right. Yeah.
As long as it's a good aspect. Let me put that out there.
Yep.
Your training programs, your fire attack, your apparatuses. Matt, for you became well known for your podcasts.
Mhm.
For everybody watching, we went down to a winter fire school. We got approached by 4 people.
Yeah.
Yep. A couple of them we didn't even know.
Didn't even know.
That's success. No matter what avenue you look at it, that's success.
Mhm.
And that's what you have to grasp and hold on to. Because when those times get bad, and they get dark, that's what brings you out of that hole. And I've experienced not having that before, and that hole closing in on you. And that's one experience I choose to never experience again. So success to me it's very heartfelt, and that's the only way of life to focus on.
Yeah, that's a poignant point that you're making there. That is what shows success. A little bit of a lighter side. We're going to get into community, family, and faith.
Okay.
What does community service mean to you personally?
Showing up for your community. And to elaborate on that, it's, I've said it once. We work for our community.
Mm-hmm.
Your community service is showing up when they need you. We taking branches off of somebody's roof. Helping clean their gutters out. We're not a one-stop shop hall, but we kind of are. It's being there for your citizens, no matter what they want. Even helping an old lady across the street. If Nancy and Drew walks in here and be like, "Hey, I got this bread just hanging on my house," kind of, teeter-totter in there. We're just gonna look at it and be like, "Oh, you got called the street department."
Right. Yeah.
No, we're gonna show up. We're gonna go help, right? That's community service to me. It's not going out and logging hours for some award.
Right.
trying to log hours and look at me. I went and helped Drew and Sandy for 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, woohoo! No, it's not that. It's what we do silently.
Mm-hmm.
That makes us a community-based department. We don't want the recognition. Recognition makes us all blush in the face and embarrassed. And
yeah.
We don't know what to say. We get shaky in the hands anytime somebody approaches us. So thank you for your service and thank you for everything you do. Sure.
Just doing my job.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yep.
It's awkward. But that's because we're out there. We're doing our community service. By going to schools, talking to kids, going out in the community, just showing up randomly, saying, "Hey, hi." Community service is going out and doing your building inspections. If you're not doing your building inspections, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah.
You're failing your not only community but the rest of your membership when that place catches on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Shame on you. Oh, are you going out inspecting your Knox boxes, making sure they work? Guess what? That's community service. It's not I can go do this. No, it's a requirement. That's what your community expects of you.
Correct. Yes. We're going to delve back into the family aspect a little bit.
Okay.
How has your family supported your mission of service? Now, as we've established, your wife is a rock star and she has the gold stars. But beyond just your relationship with your wife, how has your family supported your mission?
Aside from, my wife and my kids, my family's not really, they're not too active in my life. Never really have been. We kind of meet up whenever, some family events, some holidays, yada yada yada. But the rest of the time we just key in, I guess, towards the important aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. Her family Hope's side of the family is really supportive of everything. But it's my kids have been rocks during all of it. Um, they get a kick out of everything I get to take them to. And the way I look at it is they're supportive of me. It's teaching them a valuable aspect of what all life has to offer. However, we look at that. Um, my wife has been more supportive than I I probably would have been being in her position,
Mhm.
um, and allowing me to do everything I do. Because with without having the approval of your family, it's very hard to do your job and do your job properly. So they're very supportive of how I do stuff and why I do stuff. And they're why I do most of what I do to show them the different aspects of what public service is and what it's about and why we do it. And they've made a lot of lifelong friends out of it as well from everybody here at the station.
Mhm.
Um, and getting to see different people's perspectives of me as not so much a father and husband, but as a member of the community. So it opens the eyes of all of us all the time. It makes the family outings very interesting, to say the least. But it's it's nice having their back. It really is. So that's about the most I can say on that aspect. I guess.
Yes, very, very good. Earlier, you talked about in the transition from Orland to Ashley that you took some time off for your mental health.
Correct.
And I know that you are spearheading building a peer support team in this region. My question to you is, how do you take care of yourself mentally and emotionally while you're trying to support others?
Um,
There's a curveball for
it
you.
is. It is a curveball. It is a curveball. My answer to that is my rock at home. My superstar wife. Honestly, between her and I have a really good friend over at Kindle Fire. Her name's Jess Inman. Um, between the two of them, they've taken a spearhead of a lot of my mental health issues. So I kind of got to back up a little bit to get the full aspect of this right.
Mhm.
So when I left Orland and I moved out to Helmer, um, I was seeing death at a young age. It's not meant to happen.
Mhm.
Some of what we see is never supposed to be meant to happen, right? Never meant to be seen by human eyes. How does the brain process that? I don't know. I don't know scientifics in that, nor do I really want to know. Um, PTSD is a very real thing. It is. And when I left Orland, you know, it's I had an addiction. I was going through my divorce, and I made some wrong choices in my life. I got addicted pretty heavily into alcohol. That's how I got through my nights, shutting bars down, and that's the only way I could get my mind to turn off, to get sleep. Um, and that time, it was great, man. It was great. But the bad aspect was, I was still an active firefighter. I was still going calls, not drunk, never drunk. Um, but when I went home, that's what I would do.
Mhm.
Um, and it got bad enough that I stole. I took money to feed my addiction, and it it took a severe wake up call. Hey, what is going on? What are you doing?
Mhm.
When people started to realize, hey, he's not acting right. Something's going on. My mind was so fried from not only the military, but seeing everything we saw. It takes a lot out of you, and that was that was my way to deal with it was alcohol,
Mhm.
because one, it tasted good, and two, it made me numb. It was great, um, until I had old assistant chief that caught up on a lot of stuff and was like, hey, you done messed up already legally. You know, what's it gonna take for you to realize? And what brought me back to reality was my kids. I had 3 kids. What am I doing? I don't want to be here no more, man. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That black hole was just about closed.
Right. Yeah.
And I was ready. I was going through divorce. Good. And I woke up one morning and it changed. Moved away from what my issues were. Started my life over. Um, Started talking with Hope, and we got on a good venture there, and I got sober, not 100% sober. I still drink every once in a while, more socially than anything, um, but it'll never be that bad again.
Mm-hmm.
And between Hope and my kids, it saved my life. It really did, and it opened my mind to the mental health aspect of it. We never talked about mental health in the fire service.
Right.
We
Yeah.
never did.
Yep.
It was the stigmatism of, fine, I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
a firefighter.
I don't want to be the weak guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
I'm
would I
good.
want to do that?
Yeah.
I'll go home, I'll deal with myself. And I did with a bottle.
Right.
um,
Unfortunately, it's the statistics are showing that is a common thread.
It is. But we don't do that here, do we?
No, we don't. No.
I got very heavily into the mental health aspect of everything. Did a lot of research into it. Reached out to Patsy Hendricks with the CISM team. Learned about their team. Seemed really cool. I like mental health. They like mental health. I didn't realize the extent of the team until she explained everything to me, and then I went to the certification course for it and started going to some meetings and stuff like that with it, and it opened my eyes to a lot more of what we're not doing. What are we not doing in the fire service? And that's talking about our issues.
Mm-hmm.
Pushing mental health out to the rest of the departments. Get the rest of the departments, that's not for us. No, it is for you. You're just failing your membership.
Absolutely.
To put it point blank, and I will. And I'll say to anybody out there that wants to talk to me about it, if you're not talking with your membership about mental health, if you're not pushing your membership to learn about mental health, if you're not bringing in somebody each year to talk to your membership, hey, it's okay to talk about your calls. You're not sent down with your membership after every hard call. You're not a leader. You're not. Mm-hmm. You're part of the statistics. And why the fire service is not getting better. You're failing your membership. We can go down and ask Chief the same thing, and he'll tell you. He's been one of my biggest advocates about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows it's a real thing. We've been through it. We've seen what PTSD has done to membership. We've seen what not getting help looks like. And I don't want to go to your funeral because I missed a sign, or I saw the sign and I chose to ignore it. It's why.
Right.
The resources are there. Why aren't we using them?
And that's one thing that I can say that I've noticed really strong in our department is a lot of times we'll catch something before it even gets to the point of a problem.
Correct.
I mean, everybody's pretty well in tune with each other that if you see that's, we have a tough call or something's going on outside that's personal, we identify that personality change.
Correct.
And we've got a really good chain of command of saying, hey, look, I noticed this. We need to check in on this guy. So that's one thing I commend you for. I commend Dave for is really pushing that because we've seen where our own members have started to struggle and we can nip it in the butt before it turns into something a lot worse. Correct. So that's something that I think is amazing. Everyone who serves faces trials and tribulations. What keeps you grounded through these tough times?
My kids.
I kind of figured that's what you were
My
going to
kids,
say.
yes. Yep. Everything I do revolves around my kids.
Now, you had mentioned how in your dark time, you did some things that were of questionable nature. What does redemption mean to you?
Having the chance to redo it, not necessarily redo, right? You don't get a whole redo of life. You don't get a whole redo of your situation. You made your mistakes. You made them. How do you move forward from those mistakes? How do you move forward and show that change has been made?
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. It's hard. Now, I'm gonna speak that to the truth all day long. I mean, what I did in my life, I'm still dealing with it every day. I'm dealing with it.
Right.
I'm still dealing with personnel that was there when I went through it and chose to ignore the signs and chose to ignore to help. But I still hear about it. It's just one of them things. It always will be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no ill nature towards anybody about it. You know, it's how they chose to deal with it. Whether they're a leader or not, and they were wrong, it is what it is. But how do you bounce yourself back from that and make meaningful change? That's the redemption part. You can change your life around all day long. I don't care. How did you benefit somebody else's life based off of your change?
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, you didn't really redeem yourself. You protected yourself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yes. Going into that, being that you've been in that situation, you have came back. What would you tell someone listening who feels like they've fallen short? That they're in that hole. They're in that where they're making decisions that aren't in their best. It isn't good for them. What would you tell them about that?
To stand up. Because you've just fallen down. You make the decision to stay down there or to get up. Those are your two choices.
Mm-hmm.
I had those choices. And I almost stayed down because it was easier.
Right. Yeah.
You know, the hard part's standing up. The next part is reaching out. Extend a hand. You're in that hole. Somebody will help you out of that hole. Or they'll climb down that hole, talk to you, and you both climb out of that hole. But you have to make that decision. Nobody else can make that decision for you. You have to make the decision.
That's well said. Yeah. You're not ready for change until you yourself is ready for change, and you're going to make that change.
Correct.
All right. Now that we've dealt through all the heavy, hard hitting stuff, the stuff that, you know, you really got to think about, let's just get to know Austin.
Okay.
Coffee or energy drink?
Depends on the day, but 90% of the time, energy.
Energy drink. All right. Best tool on the truck?
My tool.
Your tool. What is your tool?
I have a Lockwood tool. It's a combination of like 5 different tools. I can breach a door with it. I can turn the gas off, water off. It's got a ripple hook for drywall. It's a versatile tool that a lot of people like try and steal from me on the fire ground. So my tool is the best tool because it's my tool.
Yeah, you don't let many people play with that thing. So yeah, I understand. Now, keeping this PG.
Okay.
What's one word your crew would use to describe you?
I'd say turbo.
Turbo. And why is that?
I'm always on the move.
Always on. That's for sure. That is for sure. In your opinion, best part of the fire service?
The camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
Learning. It's the brotherhood is all great until work needs to be done and you don't want to do it. Yeah.
I like that.
We take a pause for a second?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, and we're back after our little break there, a little potty break.
Yes, sir.
All right. One thing the public should know about firefighters.
We are human.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a misconception of we know everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we show up, we look good. We do our job, we're in that gear. We make really hard situations look pretty easy, but we're human. Mistakes happen. And we have feelings. We deal with the blunt end of the community for a lot of stuff, which is not our job. It's not. But we do it because that's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We're firefighters. We have the best job in the world. Among it. Anything. I'll fight that with anybody. We got the best job in the world. We get to come hang out with some of our best friends. Do really cool stuff. Wear really cool t-shirts. Drive really big trucks. And it's no other job in this world gives you this feeling. Cops come hang out with us all the time. They like our trucks. We work hand in hand with them. The medics, we work hand in hand with them. It's a one job and all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the community sees. That's what the community needs to know is we're a jack of all trades to a point. But their support is the only thing that keeps us going. Their support is what motivates us. Hearing from them and seeing from them. Just them coming up to our station when the bay doors are open. Hey guys, how's it going? Trucks look great. Can we take a look around? That's what drives us.
Mm-hmm.
We love that. Getting to see that, them bringing in their kids, their grandkids, and seeing them, letting the kids run around the trucks and try on the gear and play with it. That's what we love. It's all about the community, and the community is the only way that we're here, we exist,
mm-hmm.
and that's what they need to know. We're here for them, but they're also here for us. Without their support, we wouldn't be here.
That is very true. Speaking of community, earlier we touched on in your introduction that you're dealing with some entrepreneurship. Since you've come to Ashley, you've really embraced Ashley being your community. So you live in Ashley. You join the fire service in Ashley. Now you're bringing business to Ashley.
That is correct.
So is there anything that we can get breaking news on as far as a venture that you may be planning in this next year that could help benefit the economic growth of the Ashley-Hudson region?
So, my wife and I are on a venture. We are opening Rescue Scoops LLC, which is a ice cream parlor here in Ashley. Our tentative open date is the end of April, beginning of May. My wife is running most of the operations for that. So it's been quite the venture so far.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I'm a firefighter, so of course it's first responder themed. And it's gonna be great. Doing some ice cream, hopefully some custard soft serve ice cream here soon, along with it's called an ice cream parlor because she's got some other things in the works I'm not even privy to yet. But I know some dirty sodas and coffee products and possibly some lunch sandwiches, stuff like that.
Okay.
This is going to be in the works for offering and stuff like that. So we're hoping that's a really good venture, and so far we've heard pretty good things from community members about it. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So for everyone out there, keep your eye out for rescue scoops. It's going to be hard to get in there because I'm sure the fire department will be regulars.
Oh, yes.
All right. So in closing, I got 2 more things for you.
Okay.
What's your final message for the next generation of firefighters?
Have fun. Have fun with it. To do this job, you have to have fun and be a sponge. You know, the saying used to be, look for the salty guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and salty is not, doesn't mean angry. It means look for the guy with salt and pepper in his beard and his hair. In our case, ours doesn't really have hair.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Because those are the guys that you want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
They're the old timers. You know, the saying goes, when everything goes down, everything goes south, you look for the quiet guy and you stick by him, because you're going to learn a thing or two. And that saying holds true to this day. You know, you watch and you learn and you ask questions. You have to be vocal. If you don't ask questions, you're never going to learn this job. And you don't learn this job. This job learns you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to be afraid.
Yes, it is okay to be afraid. I think all of us have been afraid at time or two.
I get afraid every time I go into a house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and be aware of your surroundings.
At the end of the day, and none of us like to talk about it, at the end of the day, there will come a time when Captain, who knows what the future holds, Chief, I don't know, has to hang up his helmet. What do you want your lineage to be? What do you want people to remember about you?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. That I always gave my all. That every call, I give it my all. If that's my legacy, I'm happy with it.
That sounds like a pretty good legacy right there.
I would agree.
He was all in and he gave it his all.
Exactly.
That's what I like. All right. Last question. Out of all the networking that you've done over the years, if you could recommend one person to sit in that seat that you're in right now, who would it be?
Jess Inman.
Jess Inman. I have a feeling that interview's probably coming.
I think you'll learn a lot from the brain that girl has on her and her innovation to the youth. Yes. She's going a lot of places in life, and she's already marked a lot of the milestones.
I think we'll have to look into that. Yes, absolutely. Well, Cap, that's the end of our little interview here. I appreciate you coming and being a part of it. I know that scheduling has been a little challenging between the many hats that you wear and the endeavors that I've got going on. But I appreciate you sitting down and having some words with us.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you.